What makes this season confusing is that most of the effort we're putting in doesn't create visible wins, right? It prevents things from getting worse, and prevention never feels like progress. There's no moment where we stop and say, look how far ahead we are. Most days, the best outcome we can wish for is simply this: nothing broke. This isn't a parenting podcast. I've got 6 kids and I'm still in the middle of it. The Dad Tribes podcast is about reflection and perception, taking the weight, pressure, and struggles of fatherhood and changing how we see them so they stop breaking us and start building us. Let's dive in. All right, guys, today I'm going to share something that I think the majority of us feel, if not on a daily basis, pretty regularly. And that is a question that I've asked myself for years, ever since I started having kids. Why can't I get ahead? Why am I spending my whole life trying to get ahead? And it always feels like I'm just playing catch up, right? And if we're honest, a lot of us feel that same frustration. We're putting in the work, we're doing what needs to be done, but no matter how hard we push, it never feels like we can get ahead. It feels like one step forward and 3 steps back. And after a while, that starts to mess with how we see ourselves as men, as fathers, as providers, as protectors. But see, the issue isn't that fatherhood is hard. We already know it's hard. No one expected this to be easy. The frustration is the result. We work, we carry responsibility, and we show up every day to our fullest potential and still feel like we're constantly trying to catch up. The bills get paid and something else replaces them. Something else pops up that has to be paid for that was unexpected, right? Time opens up. Maybe you get a little bit of time freedom and immediately it just disappears. Something else pops up that takes that time. We solve one problem and 3 more or 4 more seem to pop up right after. It's never like we can just solve one problem at a time. So even though we're moving all day, it feels like we're slowly falling behind. We're paying the bills, we're managing our time, we're solving problems, but no matter how many bills we pay, no matter how many problems we solve, it just never feels like we're getting ahead, like we're just always behind and trying to catch up. What makes this season confusing is that most of the effort we're putting in doesn't create visible wins, right? It prevents things from getting worse, and prevention never feels like progress. There's no moment where we stop and say, look how far ahead we are. Most days, the best outcome we can wish for is simply this: nothing broke. If nothing broke, that's a win during this season of our life, right? And that's a hard thing to measure because we as men are wired to track progress. A lot of us are also comparing this season to earlier ones, even if we don't realize it. Seasons where effort led to momentum, where work produced something obvious, where progress felt clear. The season doesn't work like that at all. And I think we all started to notice that. Now, most of our effort goes into holding things together. And when we use an old scoreboard from an old season in a new season, it's always going to look like we're losing. The truth is this, all right? This season isn't erasing our effort, it's converting it. The work we're doing doesn't show up as freedom or surplus, it shows up as stability. A household that functions, kids who are cared for, a life that doesn't collapse under pressure. That kind of work doesn't move us forward quickly. It just keeps us from sliding backward. And that can feel like stagnation, even when it's actually not. At some point, we have to start asking a different question. Instead of, why can't I ever get ahead? What if we asked, what is all this work preventing right now? Because when we look at it that way, a lot becomes clearer. The bills getting paid are preventing stress from spilling over. The routines we keep are preventing chaos. The consistency we bring is preventing small problems from turning into big ones. None of that feels like progress, I know, but it is doing something important. It's holding the line. And maybe that's the shift we need to make. Maybe this season isn't about progress at all. What if we, instead of measuring ourselves and how far ahead are we getting to measure our success, what if we measure success by one thing? Are we holding the line? Are we keeping things from falling apart? Are we maintaining stability under pressure? Are we still standing where it matters? Because that's not nothing. That's the actual work of this season. So if it feels like you can't get ahead right now, it's probably not because you're failing. It's because we as men judge this season by outcomes it just doesn't produce. We're not moving backward. We're just in a stretch of life where the work goes into holding the ground, not gaining it. And that distinction matters because holding the line is still work. It's just the kind that doesn't announce itself. Some seasons don't move us forward. They make sure everything doesn't move backward. Now, to end this conversation here, to end this episode, I do want to explain that we should never be comfortable with where we are. We should always strive to be and do better and be and do more success in our career, in our family life, in our marriage. That is always something we should strive for. I'm not saying stop trying. I'm just saying instead of measuring success by how far ahead you're getting, for this season, just this season, why don't we start giving ourselves a pat on the back that we paid the mortgage this month, that the electric bill is paid, that the kids have clothes on their back and food in their stomach. Instead of we can't afford that nice vacation, or we can't do that one thing, or I'm not where I want to be like these other guys. What if right now we just allow ourselves to be grateful that we are strong enough to hold the line where it is? And when the season comes to be able to get ahead, we'll jump on it and make sure we do. Something to think about, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.